This video series contains scientific and medical concepts aimed at informing healthcare professionals. Please note that the videos may contain visually stimulating images and movement.
Pacing is coasting under the threshold that causes a crash. So if we can stay under the energy threshold that causes a crash, that's pacing. So keeping the individual under that level of exertion so that they don't have crashes.
Pacing for PEM is a complex, specialized, and vital strategy for managing tasks and exertion over time. Pacing is a lifestyle for symptom management. The role of occupational therapy is to teach individuals pacing strategies within the limitations of PEM. That is identifying symptom severity and then identifying their quality and their quantity of those symptoms and the severity. The quantity is how much battery is being used. What is the battery power for that specific area? Quality is how sensitive is the individual to meeting or exceeding the threshold. The portion that occupational therapy is well suited for is looking at each task and providing a schedule and breaking down tasks so that they can pace and they can start to develop a plan for their activities of daily living. Task analysis is looking at each individual task, such as grooming, and breaking it down into what makes up the actual task. All of the pieces that make up the task as a self-care activity. Task analysis also includes prioritizing. Is this an important task for the individual? Is grooming the most important, or is it possibly socializing or having a conversation with a loved one? The task analysis needs to be looked at as what is it that the person really wants to do with that amount of time? The activity analysis is actually breaking down each individual unit of the self-care task. Planning and pacing your activity so that you are able to perform the task from start to finish, or modifying the goal. Maybe doing one of those events is going to be the new outcome for the self-care task. The 1-2 method will look at an individual exerting 1 minute of activity, needing 2 minutes of rest. This 1-2 approach is not necessarily a standard, but needs to be adjusted as an individual is presenting with their severity level, and it also fluctuates over time.
Another tool that can be used is heart rate biofeedback pacing. The patient can obtain a heart rate monitor, a chest strap, which can provide the patient with heart rate data. They can also use a watch or wearable device, but some individuals who have decreased circulation to their extremities, it won't be as accurate. Using heart rate biofeedback pacing, a patient can set a heart rate alert with the therapist as a guide to help them recognize when their heart rate gets too high. And patients will often comment that they didn't realize how often their heart rate was spiking with everyday activities. Now, the threshold that WorkWell Foundation has determined is that about 15 above the patient's resting average heart rate is when the patient starts to exceed their threshold and are in danger of experiencing post-exertional malaise. This is really hard initially with patients, so it's often easier to set a little bit higher threshold for them before the alert, and then finding a device or app that provides those continuous alerts when they get above that threshold can help the patient realize that they're above their threshold and they need to rest. Other tools include devices or apps that give heart rate variability data that can help the patient see how they're recovering. There are features that can tell patients what their tolerance for activity for the day is going to be like. For patients who can't afford a heart rate device to alert them, often even just using RPE scales, rating of perceived exertion scales, can help them to recognize that they're going into post-exertional malaise. For example, trying to keep the patient under 4 out of 10 exertion on an RPE scale can help the patient know that they're exceeding their threshold. Some of the symptoms and signs of exceeding their threshold and that they may experience post-exertional malaise include shortness of breath, feeling that an activity is starting to feel hard, or their heart rate starts to alert them that they're above that threshold, or they may notice that they are experiencing nausea, dizziness, confusion, difficulty with word finding, concentration. All of those are signs that a patient may be starting to experience post-exertional malaise. And as you teach the patient how to recognize those signs, that can help them to prevent incurring additional post-exertional malaise. Some patients with post-exertional malaise have found it helpful to have an activity log where instead of tracking minute by minute, I did this activity or this activity, they have a block of time where maybe they color it in as I did these physical activities during this part of the day. I did more of a cognitive activity during this part of the day, or during this part of the day, I had more stress. And that can help patients rather than getting into the minutia of tracking minute by minute. They can see what their day looked like and what exertion they performed.
You can look at how your past has now affected how your present activity, what your exertion is like for now, and make modifications, build in rest periods. I think of these tools and these strategies as almost being look out the window and see what the weather is like. I know that Todd Davenport from Workwell has also mentioned this, that the wearable will give the weather what it's like outside. So your body is responding to what is happening right now in this situation. But looking at the heart rate variability over a longer period of time gives you a little bit more of a forecast of what your body may look like in the future in a longer period of time. We can use high tech and low tech to be able to track how our body is being kind of recorded for the moment or for past and future events.
This video was made possible by the OMF-funded Medical Education Resource Center at BHC, our generous donors, and viewers like you. Please consider making a tax-deductible donation to help keep educational resources like this one publicly available.